Not the worst hangover I've had.
Are you okay, Shelly?
Oh, Peachy. Hell of a way to wake up.
Got her in my sights!
Greetings everyone, and welcome to NoobFeed's first ever video review. I'm Attila, and I'm going to give you a brief review about this little nifty game called Phantom Fury. Hope you liked the video, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on YouTube to keep in touch with upcoming games and overall game reviews. Let's not waste any other minute and take a look at what Phantom Fury has to offer. So, Phantom Fury is an action-packed first-person shooter game, and it's a direct sequel to 3D Realms and Slipgate Ironworks' first game, Iron Fury. To be precise, it was called Iron Maiden at first, but you can guess why it had to be changed. We are playing through the perspective of Shelly once again, who was also the protagonist of the first game. Just a little note, we'll be touching upon Iron Fury from time to time to cross-reference some of the details we found in Phantom Fury. To begin with, Iron Fury was built on the build engine, the same engine that was used for classic titles like Doom 3D and Blood, although Iron Fury's version was heavily modified to reach today's standards. It was great to see the return of a classic game engine. It ensured that sticking to the classics also works in today's age. Seems like the idea behind Iron Fury was successful, and they decided to work on a sequel to expand the lore of the franchise. In the first game, we were fending off cultists, who were trying to overcome the government and break the overall sanity of people. However, the idea seems to have shifted into an action movie with zombies and aliens on Phantom Fury instead. Quite surprisingly, Phantom Fury draws quite a lot of known mechanics and details from the already existing FPS games called Half-Life and Doom 3. Now, Half-Life was quite a big deal back then, being one of the first FPS games to include a full-on narrative story that did not interfere with players' pace. Funnily enough, Doom 3 ended up following the same route as Half-Life, including a more story-based narrative with themes like alienation and loss of hope. It also had the main plot of demons invading the Earth, similar to the aliens attacking the Earth in Half-Life. I feel like this is enough trivia about old FPS games. Let's get back to our main topic. Slipgate Ironworks decided to build upon the same idea with slight differences in Phantom Fury. Elements such as the secret facility in New Mexico, the weapons given to Shelly in order, environmental storytelling, and enemies who are trying to hunt Shelly down, etc. However, the story part of Phantom Fury is more guns blazing rather than one with slowly building suspense and resolution. Gameplay-wise, Phantom Fury provides an experience similar to the current first-person shooters, with a mix of run and shoot, just like the old times. In Iron Fury, it was a full-on classic shooter mode, where players had to think of their moves rather than aiming. The lack of hitboxes in Iron Fury made it so players can manage their health pool and items, while Phantom Fury is leaning towards both storytelling and gunfights with more precision. Don't get me wrong, Phantom Fury is not labeled mistakenly as a boomer shooter. It completely plays like Half-Life with dumb AI and arsenals that Shelly gathers. Talking about weapons, each of them feels strong with both visual and sound designs. However, I felt a bit disappointed with the introduction of the shotgun. If you ask anyone about boomer shooters and what they're known for, you'll get the shotgun answer. Older first-person games usually introduce shotguns when difficulty would spike up, but Phantom Fury's shotgun made it way easier to deal with enemies. 12 shots and pops only between 2 consecutive shots. I honestly couldn't get the idea behind the design of the shotgun, but Half-Life's Spaz shot 2 slugs at once when you pressed right mouse button. So I assume the developers were also going for unrealistic weapon design. That brings me to the meat and potatoes of the Phantom Fury, which is the combat itself. I wouldn't say it's a total letdown, but it's what I wasn't expecting. Unfortunately, the game suffers from bullet sponge disease, where enemies would take a good few shots to the head and opt to still live. This is also a problem when Shelly gets reunited with her 18-shot revolver from the Iron Fury. It's not necessarily the head you aim for, but even lower void cannot kill basic enemies in one shot. Which should be the case since Phantom Fury added a military-grade 9mm pistol, just like in Half-Life. Speaking of Half-Life, once again, Phantom Fury draws quite a lot of inspiration from Half-Life with its barren deserts, military field fortresses, and coincidentally, shooting a space rocket as one of the main missions. This was even copied to the bone, with the general giving strict orders to send a signal rocket. You might think being inspired by original games is a scummy move, but the player base of old first-person shooters does not really mind. In fact, they'll absolutely love to see the nods of the originals. Although everything about Phantom Fury can be interpreted as quality, I came across some problems while casually playing through the campaign. The enemies tend to break reality by climbing non-existent walls or getting stuck in mad geometry, which makes me believe that some aspects were not well designed. Of course, this only applies to enemies. Maybe the navigation mesh of these entities has not been set properly, but hey, it doesn't break the immersion that you're stuck in a world full of supernatural happenings, so it evens out. Shelly gets equipped with a bionic arm at the beginning of our story. Unfortunately, it gets a bit redundant after Shelly gets a hold of long-range weapons. Sure, the arm can punch through lots of objects or open up sealed doors, but it begs the question, why would it be added as a combat option? All it does is one-shot enemies up close, while there's nothing given in return. Doom, the 2016 one, not the 1993 original one, handled it way better with the chainsaw option, where it would drop lots of ammo upon its usage. It was meant to be a last resort option and rewarded players for lacking resources. Same cannot be said for the Phantom Fury, unfortunately. Now, this is not a bad thing, but it needs to be touched upon. Just like the old first-person shooters, developers also decided to make the main character mean and sarcastic. Some main characters from well-known FPS games were mute, but this changed when 3D Realms introduced Duke Nukem, who had one-liners and witty jokes about killing his enemies. Same applies to Shelly, where she would say one-liners, but I'm afraid these are not as good as the originals. I do not really think that you cannot beat the delivery of "I have the balls of steel" from Duke Nukem, no matter how hard you try. So, it is a good game, but there are some problems with it. Overall, Phantom Fury has its own charm when it comes to providing a unique experience. It does require some polishing, but hey, it delivers a hybrid gameplay experience of the past and present, with notes to what made Phantom Fury a reality. In order to keep its legacy and timeline, Phantom Fury could have been made in a modified gold source or source engine, but it is too late to ask for requests from both Slipgate Ironworks and 3D Realms at this point. Unreal Engine still did a great job of handling Phantom Fury, and coincidentally, Unreal Tournament is another classic FPS game, so I cannot complain. Our final score to Phantom Fury is 85 out of 100. We thoroughly suggest giving it a shot if you want to play through FPS games that aren't too realistic, or just like to see another example of a great FPS. Thank you for watching our review. This was Attila, and I hope to see you on the next review.